Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Here's my top 5 teams of the National Hockey League as of today. Number 1, the Boston Bruins. They're off to their best start in franchise history. Number 2 is the Edmonton Oil Kings, 5-game win streak. There you go. Our top 5, bottom 5 brought to you by Bet Regal, our exclusive betting partner. So they're right on the screen. Number 1, Boston. Number 2, Edmonton. Number 3, the Vegas Golden Knights. Look at that. Look at those fingers fly. Number 4, the New York Rangers. And number 5, the Calgary Flames, who, again, Kadri, Huberdeau, Toffoli, Coleman, Backlund, Lindholm.
Weegar.
But Weegar, well, I didn't even get to the defense yet, but they're not playing like it. I kind of held my nose to have to put them in the top 5. They're that talented, but they're not playing like it. And here is my bottom 5 in the National Hockey League in reverse order. Anaheim is the 28th team in the NHL. Arizona, 29. Columbus, 30. San Jose Sharks, 31. And the Vancouver Canucks are the worst team and the 32nd team in the National Hockey League. I know there's a lot of people. Thank you, Clark, for that. And thanks for the question, Clark. Campbell, I have you, number 1 team in the West. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, why don't we have the NHL network in Canada? We have the NFL network in Canada. Why? It all has to do with contracts, and TSN owns a portion, I think, of NHL network. And because Sportsnet has Canadian NHL rights, they've blocked the NHL network from being in Canada. But who cares? Game Plus TV is where it's at.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
I remember my first pair of Cooperalls. I've been asking my mom and dad for months because everybody had them. And then for my 11th birthday, I unwrapped them. And it was the most beautiful pair of royal blue Cooperalls from J&J Sports in the Golden Mile that I started crying. So I don't know where those Cooperalls are, but I remember my first pair like it was yesterday, and it was the greatest thing in the world.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show on a very big day. Settle in. Just settle in and get ready for a very fun 2 hours of sports talk here on your favorite daytime sports entertainment talk show in Canada. Number 1 and the only one. And in America, one of them. We're coming to you live from Grey Eagle Resort and Casino on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio in Atlanta. And the reason I say this is going to be a lot of fun is the guest, the Grim Reaper, Stu Grimson, coming up via video chat later on. CBC legendary broadcaster Doug Dirks in hour 2. And Tony Spoletini, Calgary Sportsman of the Year in 2013, the owner, founder of Spolombo's Restaurant, and an Edmonton Eskimo and Calgary Stampede alum is with us here. Now let's bring in the Moose from the NHL's Bermuda Triangle. Moose, listen, you don't understand, dude. Spoletini walks in here, the security guard stood at attention, and he comes walking to the stage. He's like, where's DuPont? Where's DuPont? And I can't believe that you guys haven't met, but he says he's been watching you for years on Canada West Football, and you are Al Michaels to him. Okay? So we got to hook you guys up at some point, dude.
I appreciate that. And we had a little chat, him and I, first time before the show. And now I understand, I think, why it's called Spolombo's. Spoletini and Palumbo. He talked about, the Husky center, Michael Palumbo, his dad, and Matteo Spoletini, the Dinos quarterback. Well, that's Tony's son. And the connections all over the place. So I knew this was going to be a great day.
Oh, yeah. Football royalty in the house. We got a live studio audience here at Grey Eagle. Life is great. But I can tell you, you would get this, and only a certain amount of our viewers will. Tony Spoletini came in here. He's like Lanny McDonald. He's the light. I could just see it in him. He was just radiating positivity. I like people like that, man, because you can pick out the others a mile away, too. All right. Can you, Director Jordan, please hit the quick 6 show horn and let's get down to business. Thank you. We're going to start with baseball, believe it or not, in the World Series. And I watched it last night because there weren't a lot of hockey games on. Christian Javier and Houston's bullpen combined on just the second no-hitter in World Series history, silencing a booming lineup and boisterous ballpark as the Astros blanked the Philadelphia Phillies 5-0 to even up the World Series 2-2. So now we're down to a best of three. Here's the controversy, Moose. The only previous no-hitter in World Series history was a perfect game thrown by Don Larson of the New York Yankees against the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1956. So I'm watching SportsCenter this morning, and I won't say whom, but the anchor, she goes, I have a problem with this being called a no-hitter. I don't like it. And there was a debate there. And, well, I'm not the biggest baseball insider or analyst. I am a fan. And I waited to see what Steve Phillips had to say, the analyst and the former Mets GM. And he's like, yeah, this is a big deal. But I talked to Serena in Florida. She's like, no, it's nowhere comparable to Don Larson. It's not a no-hitter. If I got that right, because she's watching right now, I hope I didn't screw it up. But our poll question today, number one, was should Javier have been pulled after 6 innings while he's got a no-hitter on the go? Yes or no? Capital Auto Mall has dealerships all across the Canadian prairies and the state of California. And I voted that yes, he should have been pulled. The last I saw, over 70% of our respondents saying that no, he shouldn't have been pulled. He should have been able to take this no-hitter into the 7th and as long as he could go. But this is the World Series, Darren. It's about wins, and I'm fully on with the Houston Astros today. I'm kind of surprised that it's even a controversy or discussion. Where are you on that? What are you voting?
I'm voting yes. And the reason I'm voting yes is because we have hindsight in our favor here. Hindsight's 2020. So they pulled him. They continued the no-hitter. They won the game. So the evidence tells us it was the right decision to pull him.
Yeah.
We don't know that he would have continued the no-hitter. Now, in the moment, I'm a purist who says, no, let him try and run the table here. Why would you? It goes back to the Jays situation when you pulled your star pitcher and then when he was playing well at the first sign of trouble and you lost the game. But I vote yes because it worked out. And who are we to argue? They won the game and they completed the no-hitter.
Exactly. And yeah. Blue Jays fans would say otherwise, of course, and Tampa Bay Rays fans from a World Series a couple years back.
Yes.
So anyways, fun to talk about. And by the way, a word from our sponsor. New York Fries is a proud member of the Calgary community, and to give back, they're hosting free public skating opportunities at ice rinks around Calgary, open to families and the general public in support of Kids Sport Calgary. Visit FamilySkateYYC.com for a full list of times and locations, presented by New York Fries. Trust me, we're getting to the CFL in a moment. But point two, NHL, just 2 games on Wednesday night. Alex Tuck scored one of the Buffalo Sabres 5 goals in the third period to rally past the Pittsburgh Penguins 6-3. Are the Sabres ever going to show up as they are what we thought they were? I'm pulling for them. It's an exciting young team. They are the light. They have energy around them. Meanwhile, in Toronto, Leafs captain John Tavares registered the 11th hat trick of his career, including a jaw-dropping individual effort in the third to go along with a helper as the Leafs snapped a 4-game slide and beat Philly 5-2. When I called you last night, you said you were folding laundry and watching hockey. I assume you were watching this game. So how are you on the Leafs winning? Are you planning the parade? What's up with Leaf Nation today?
They look better. They looked like the team that we thought they were last night. Now, Philly's played well too. And Philly went up 1-0 early, and you thought this was going to be that kind of a game again. But you know what? Toronto stayed composed. They controlled the puck. They didn't seem to panic too much. And I thought your captain stepped up, and your best players need to be your best players. When you're struggling like that, you usually need a captain to pull everybody out of the weeds and push in one direction. Connor McDavid does that in Edmonton when they're struggling, and John Tavares did it last night.
By the way, Tony Spoletini coming up next segment, and we're going to get deep into the CFL playoffs then, by the way, so I'm not going to spend as much time on that with Moose here right now. How about Torts saying, I hope Sheldon Keefe jams it, where, to all you media. And this was before the game. He goes, just not tonight. But Torts is pulling for Sheldon Keefe. I thought that was funny, and I get it. Listen, when people count you out and they trash you and they spit talk you, oh, does it feel good to jam it where? Is Sheldon Keefe going to do that? Or is this going to have a sad ending and he's going to get fired? What do you see happening there?
I hope he plays well or that he does well. I really hope so. I can see it. If they turn this around, there's enough talent that I think they'll be fine and he won't lose his job. And I'm a big John Tortorella fan. So for him to say that, he's a guy who wears his heart on his sleeve. He deeply cares about the people in his organization and his players. He holds them accountable. But he also sees, he calls it like he sees it. If he thinks Sheldon Keefe's a good coach, he's going to say it, and he did.
Yeah, well, that's his opinion. Doesn't necessarily mean he is a good coach. So there's that.
That's right.
I appreciate everybody's comments that are coming in. I don't have time to get to them here because Darren and I got to fly here in the warm-up. Our NHL coverage is brought to you by Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Longtime friends of ours, hiring now. Find out everything you need to know at broncoplumbing.com and our Facebook and Instagram pages. Point 3, Pascal Siakam led the way with 22 points, 10 rebounds, and 11 assists as the Raptors handed the Spurs their worst home loss in franchise history, 143-100. I looked up. I didn't watch the game, but I saw the ticker on the bottom of the screen. At that point, they were up 35 points. They ended up winning by 43. I know yesterday I said that the Spurs aren't what they used to be, but whoa. But if you ever get a chance to go to AT&T Center in San Antonio, go, because they do honor their 5 championships very, very well there. Remember when Snoop and I went to that game, me and Snoop Dogg? That was the game that I'm talking about.
I remember.
Yeah. Go if you can, but we've missed the good old days for the Spurs. And in New York, DeJounte Murray scored a career-high 36 points, and the Hawks overcame a 23-point deficit, and Atlanta beat the Knickerbockers 112-99. Did you see the highlights? Trae Young added 17 points despite missing time in the second half because of a left eye contusion. When he went down, because I was watching that game, I found a stream. Now I'm like the biggest Atlanta Hawks fan. He went down. I'm like, Trey! Then he comes out in goggles 5 minutes later and ends up putting the finishing touches on that one. So, yeah, somebody wrote in here the other day, who's Trae Young? I'm like, he's got 1.4 million Twitter followers. Dude, follow along. Here come the Hawks! Sports update. We'll get to later, but it's brought to you by Ito Japan. First, a word from our sponsor. With freshly made food and high-quality ingredients, Ito Japan is food you can feel good about. I'm going to do CFL Deal or No Deal right now. I'm not going to get into the foibles and the follies of them screwing up the All-Star nominations yesterday, unless you want to. I don't want to. There's no point kicking a dog when it's down now. But let's play Deal or No Deal, CFL semifinal edition. Those odds makers in Costa Rica, did they put down the VOD squad? What do they got today? Montreal is favored by 3 at home over the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the Eastern semifinal. Deal or no deal?
No deal. I picked Hamilton to win the game outright, and I think they will. They're hot, and I think they're headed to the Grey Cup.
Now, the BC Lions are favored by 2.5 at home over the Calgary Stampeders in the Western semifinal. It's a big deal. Deal or no deal?
You know what? I'm going to take the deal. I wasn't earlier in the week. I'm taking it now, and it's Amar Doman. He's got me pumped. They've opened the upper deck. There's going to be a bunch of fans in there, and I think
Sarah McLachlan singing. Sarah McLachlan singing the national anthem.
The only thing I'm concerned about is this is a new regime in BC, so they might not be pumping crowd noise into BC Place. That might hurt them a little bit, but I think the home crowd advantage will help BC.
All right. Well, Tony Spoletini and I are going to get into it next segment, but we both have the Stampeders to win. This will be the first time that an owner gets credit for winning a game, if Moose is right. But Bet Regal's our exclusive betting partner, and Bet Regal has tickets, 2 of them, to the Grey Cup for you to win. The link to enter is at rodpeterson.com right now. While we're at it, Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, tune into the show Friday
Resort and Casino
to find out how to win tickets to Tom Cochran at the Grey Eagle Event Center here in Calgary. Tickets are still available at ticketmaster.ca, but not for long. I stopped by the box office yesterday, Moose, and they are almost sold out. That is not a joke. No yoke. Point 5, Thursday night football. The Philadelphia Eagles are at the Houston Texans, and I could call up Deal or No Deal, but why? Because we all know who should win the game. Eagles are 7-0 going into the game. I got the line. 13.5. Eagles favored by 13.5 at Grey Eagle. Our exclusive betting partner on Thursday night football. Deal or no deal?
Oh, yeah, I'll take the deal. You could have told me the line was 28.5. I would have taken the deal. The
Okay.
Eagles will roll over Houston. Houston's offense is not good. They're not going to put points up. And Philadelphia's good in every phase of the game. So take the Eagles tonight.
What a night for Philly sports fans. Their 7-0 Eagles are playing Thursday night football at Houston, and their Phillies are in Game 5 of the World Series, which is now down to a best of 3. Doesn't look like the Flyers are playing on this 3, 6, 9, 12, 13 games in the National Hockey League tonight, including Nashville here at Calgary, and I'll be going to the game. Yeah, why not? But hour 1 we talked about last night. Hour 2 we talk about tonight's games. How about that? So I want to get your point, your take on this. A real quick one, and then I'll come back to the CFL halftime. I was told that tomorrow they will be announcing the halftime act. That's what I got this morning.
How about that?
The NFL, though, is reviewing Jerry Jones' Halloween costume after informal complaints were made against the longtime owner of the Dallas Cowboys for dressing up as a blind referee. The costume, posted on social media, featured Jerry in a striped ref shirt, dark sunglasses, and a walking stick. Coaches and team officials are prohibited by the NFL from criticizing officials. I didn't hear the resolution or resumption to that. Did he get fined? I don't know. How do you feel about that?
It was hilarious. It was a hilarious costume. Now, here's for me, and you're the Cowboys fan. Was there a call that screwed them in the last week or two, or in the last 2 or 3 weeks that he's specifically referring to? No, I don't think so. Right?
No.
I think this is pretty general. He's generally making fun of the ref. So this isn't a criticism against a ref who made a call in the week 7 game that screwed the Cowboys out of it. That didn't happen. So he's just having some fun here, being a blind referee, making a joke. I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was critical of the referees. I thought it was more in fun. And I think the league shouldn't have a problem with it. If there had been an incident and he had been in the media complaining and then shows up in the Halloween costume, that would be a different story.
Well, they call this the no fun league. So I don't know. I haven't heard if Jerry's ended up being fined or not, but like you literally can't have fun anymore. While we have Moose on the air, for our viewers coming to Grey Cup, Ballers Rec Room and Twisted Tea are hosting the biggest party during Grey Cup week, featuring players and the Grey Cup trophy. Get your tickets today at eventbrite.com. And breaking news, Ballers is proud to announce that Charleston Hughes and Greg Zahn will be special celebrities at the party, which, of course, will be there, Moose. That's pretty exciting. The best party at Grey Cup will be this one.
It will be. You know, Ballers is excited about it. They're putting on a great party with Twisted Tea and their friends, and they're getting a lot of players. They're coming. Charleston, obviously, Greg Zahn, who played, Major League Baseball, was on Sportsnet. He's going to be there as well. He does a great Grey Cup party every year, and he's partnering with Ballers on this one. And there's going to be more players. They've told me that they're going to be announcing, and they've invited us. So it's going to be fun. Get your tickets. Go to Eventbrite. Search for it, the Ballers party, the VIP party. And there'll be links all over our social that we're going to share it for them. I think we'll put the link here in the YouTube chat. So get your tickets because there's only a few available.
Greg Zahn and Charleston Hughes coming to the best party at Grey Cup at Ballers Rec Room. It's going to be fantastic. We will see you there. Moose, I think you're done for the day. Great job.
Thank you. Enjoy.
Tony Spoletini in next. Stu Grimson's on the way. Doug Dirks and Gino Paoli. It's the RP Show on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, and your favorite podcast platform, and streaming sports radio right now at rodpeterson.com.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Peterson Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Casino dancing.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital Ford Lincoln. We have a great selection of brand new F-150s in stock. Drive it off the lot today. Reserve an incoming unit or pre-order the perfect vehicle for you. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital Ford Lincoln, making back to busy easy.
People donate blood for moments like this.
But there are lots of reasons why Canada's Lifeline needs donors every day.
Like the fact that someone with leukemia can need up to 8 units of blood a week.
Or that donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days.
Or to help new moms and babies, like Henry.
There's lots of reasons to donate blood. That's why we need donors every day.
The need for blood is constant. Join Toyota and our Toyota dealers in supporting Canada's Lifeline.
Smoky in the air, that's a lot of time. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Beautiful day in the foothills. You see the snow that was left behind. We'll see if it's here all winter or not. But we're at Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, Calgary's entertainment destination, and we've already talked with the Moose. Darren Dupont, World Series, last night's NHL games, Raptors and Atlanta Hawks, both winning last night. Talked about CFL playoffs. Thursday night football tonight, Eagles and Texans. Tonight, 13 games in the NHL, including the Predators here in Calgary, and I'll be there. But we're here to talk football now. This guy came in here today, Tony Spoletini. Did you know that security guy that was like ushering you in?
Yes. I know Carter Como. We're both alumni now of the Dinos. You know, Carter had a great career, was on that 19 Vanier Cup team, just a great young man. And, you know, my younger boy had an opportunity to play with him on the Dinos. And, it took me a minute. I go, hey, I know you, you know, and it's good to see him
a great
doing
guy.
Well,
There were a few other security guys. They just perked up when they saw Tony come through the door. 2013 Calgary Sportsman of the Year, CFL alum, Edmonton Eskimos, Calgary Stampeders. But really, what I say most famous for, Spolumbos. Tell us about your restaurant.
So, my cousin Tom Spoletini, myself, and our good friend Mike Palumbo, who's like family, we were all fortunate enough to play on the Stamps together, you know. And then when we got done playing football, Italians do two things, right? They either work in cement or food, and the cement business was saturated. You know, we got uncles who play cement, finish cement, buried in cement, right? So we figured we get into food. And so we just we started making sausage out of the basement out of Tom's in-laws' restaurant. They're a very famous restaurant family, the Tuda family here in Calgary. And then slowly this little deli opened up with sausage equipment in Inglewood, and we moved the first Spolumbos there in 92. And then 6 years later, we built the facility that we are now that's just kind of half a block down the street. And this past July 7th, we've been in business 30 years.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I had a great success story, and I said to Tony, I've had several of their sandwiches, but always it was in a box at the front of the bus or in the locker room at McMahon Stadium with the Riders, because we always went there. And I got to think that was Shiv and Danny Barrett.
Well,
started.
We got some great, Shivs was our assistant GM and player personnel guy when I was there. And I think Shiv supplied the league with so many great players that even the guys that got cut from Calgary or BC when he was there ended up having great careers on other teams, Shiv had a great impact in this league, yeah.
That's why he's in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, totally.
But a huge supporter of Spolumbo.
Well, yeah, so Rod, he used to come down and you know how Shiv is, and he goes, Spal, get me some andouille, some spice, do me a case. And he goes, and do me a case for your quarterback, Danny Barrett, right? So Danny was our quarterback, right? So this is happening for a couple of years, and so one day Danny comes in. I go, hey, Danny, you finally come. He goes, yeah. And he goes, how come you never send me any sausages when Shiv comes in? I go, what do you mean? Shiv always gets a case for you. He goes, but I never get them, right? So Danny leaves, Rod, and about 45 minutes later, Shiv comes in, right? Hey, how you doing? He doesn't know Danny's there, right? I had come. So we're sitting there, and he goes, Spally, when I'm done, man, do me a case for me, a case for Danny. And I go, Shiv, Danny was just in. He says, you never give him any. He goes, that's okay. He eats them at my house. It doesn't matter. So
this stuff goes on all across the CFL. I love it. Those stories, man. So I asked how close Tony was to the scene, and it was a rhetorical question. I knew you'd have a take on the Stamps and BC Lions Sunday in the Western semifinal.
I really like it. It's obviously not good for the team and revenues and what have you, but
because it's on the road.
It's on the road, yeah. But we're 7-2 on the road. For some reason, I just think we play looser on the road. I think we're 5-4 at home, 7-2, but I think the team's really finding its stride. I think that last game against Saskatchewan, even they say, it's a nothing game. I don't think so. I think the Stamps wanted to set a tone. I think the best O-line in the CFL really took control on the ground, and Jake's making throws. That defense is playing lights out. So it's exciting to have Rourke back. It was a shame that we lost him for 8 games because the kid's exciting. But I think even if he plays well, I don't think he has enough to beat us.
Okay, so break it down for me, because I'm reading coverage and seeing stuff, and everybody's basically saying Nathan Rourke versus Jake Mayer. And I'm like, I know it's the most important position, but that's not going to decide the game. Like, what do you think is going to decide the game?
I think it's going to be our secondary and our running game. You know what I mean? If we can control the ball and keep him off the field. And I mean, Jake's a great quarterback, so he needs to convert when we're second and long, and when he needs to make a throw or play action on first down, catch him off guard. But we have to run the ball, and our secondary, we're going to get pressure on him. We got that great D line, but that kid, his forte, Rod, is he reads so fast. So if you do get pressure on him, he almost knows where he's going to throw the ball before the ball's even snapped. And that's just the amount of time that he spends in the film room. Like, the guy is not to use the cliche, a real student of the game. So our secondary are going to have to be on their game.
Ted in Red Deer is watching. He says, Spolumbo sausage, 5 stars for sure. Nothing better anywhere I've tasted.
Thank you.
That's from Ted in Red Deer.
Thank you.
Jeff, the Stamps Peters fan, says, Rod, would you address Arash Madani's report that John Huffnagel stepping down as Stamps GM after this season? I don't know anything about it. That's the first that I heard. It's not great timing for the announcement as the team's going on a playoff run, and I know absolutely nothing about it, I swear. And for our U.S. viewers, I don't know if you heard about our 25% of our viewers and listeners are in the United States. We're on the radio in Atlanta. John Huffnagel was the quarterback's coach, 2003 Patriots Super Bowl champion team. Tom Brady's quarterback's coach there. NFL great as well, but done a lot of great things in Calgary. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I don't know anything about it.
You know what? I don't know anything about it either. And, I mean, not that we're in the know or anything like that, Rod, but I think something that, catastrophic, it would be, you might have heard even a pipe rumor. So I think it's, I don't think there's any fruit to this.
Well, Tony, you've been around this forever. Your whole life, the Stamps. When he came into town, the fortunes went up.
But I mean, but John was great everywhere he went. I mean,
yes,
he grew up in Pennsylvania, which is basically quarterback factories there. You know what I mean? Out of high school, Penn State, was a legend there. Then had a shot in the NFL, came up here, killed it in the CFL, and then made even greater contributions as an offensive coordinator. Him and Jeff Tedford, during our era, just revolutionized the CFL with the empty backfield. It wasn't good for a fullback, right? But they were the guys that introduced this empty package, this run and gun type of stuff. So yeah, a revolutionary, right, in football for sure.
Well, if Huff wants to step away, it'll be Huff's decision. Obviously, we'll see. Andrew Stout, viewer, says, I heard that head coach Dave Dickinson is going to be the general manager and coach. Listen, I can't. Let me just pass along another from Jack Fulton. He says, love Tony. He's watching, says, say hi. Wish I could be there to support a great guy. Thank you, Tony, for everything you've been to myself and to the entire Calgary community.
Well, thank you, Jack.
Let's just say, because Arash is rarely wrong, let's just say if John Huffnagel was to step down, Tony, he would have a succession plan.
Well,
it wouldn't leave the team in the lurch.
No, and again, you just stated it. If it was, and we don't know if it's true or not, yeah, Dave Dickinson would be the right fellow to move up into that position, right? Maybe he does wears two hats for a while, but in that succession, there's guys that can move up to that head coaching job. A Mark Killam, could easily. Could be head coaching anywhere in the league for that matter. So I think if John did decide to go, I don't think the Stampeders would have to look outside of the organization to probably fill those positions. Not
Tremendous timing for the report, and I only got a couple more minutes here with Tony Spoletini. He's running a restaurant, for Pete's sake. He's a busy guy. We talked. You got the Stamps to win. I was reading the line earlier. The Lions are favored by 2.5 at home, but I got the Stamps to win.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, totally, yeah.
And then out east, what do you think about Hamilton at Montreal in the semifinal?
You know what? I like Montreal. I think they're at home, and plus I'm kind of a homer. Tyson Philpott, former Dino. You know what I mean? But no, I think Montreal's playing well. I mean, Hamilton Evans seems to be finding his groove, but then again, he has a bit of a up-down all year. He's had a great game, a bad game. I think he's put a couple of good ones together. But I think Montreal at home. I think Montreal's got Eugene.
Lewis, yeah,
Lewis, yeah, and so I like Montreal.
Well, and the thing is, we've been around the CFL a long time. It has its foibles and struggles and so forth, but this is the time of year that it historically shines. The games are great. The stadiums are full.
No question, yes.
This is the best time to get on board.
Best time of the year, right?
Right.
Yeah, playoff football in Canada is unreal. It's the best football.
Unreal.
It is, yes.
It's said very well. What do you think about the fact this game will be played in the Dome? It's been a long time since BC's hosted a game. That's what the players want, right? I would think.
So I think it's going to be amazing. I think that Dome's going to be rocking, Rod. I think what I love about it is there's going to be weather factor in there. So you're going to have Rourke at his best, Kareem at his best, Meyer, the defense. There's no excuses, no snow, no rain. It's just going to be some wide open football, great conditions, and the Stamps got to practice in the Dome this week.
Shoal dice.
Yeah, so that was really good, getting them ready for the game. So
well, the Hoggies well, and you said you were a fullback. How do you feel about the adage football was meant to be played in the cold? Because I know a lot of guys that say
you know what? No, you know what? I used to pride myself, being from Calgary in college and high school and with the Stamps. We played in some cold games, but I'm telling you, none of us complained when it was a Chinook, okay, in late November, all right? Nah, we want to play. Look, you got to gut it out when you have to, Rod. You don't use it as an excuse. But as a player, man, if you can play inside, you want to play in the best conditions.
The best team should win in that environment.
Well, exactly, right? And I mean, when you got I hate it when high-flying offenses or, can't be who they want because of the weather, right? It doesn't really judge who was the best team that day. You know what I mean? And so you're right. When the conditions are perfect, the best team is going to win on that day.
I think about the Vanier a couple years ago, Sask versus Montreal, and I really thought the Huskies were better going in, but it was an icy track at Laval, and Montreal won, and it ruined the game.
Well, it did. It did, right? You don't, especially if you're a pass-oriented team, it really affects, right? It affects, the throwing the ball, cuts, what have you, right? And that's why that running game is so important. So when you're like the Stamps and you have a really good balanced attack, for example, they get past BC and they go to Winnipeg, and we have a nightmare day in Winnipeg, and it can happen. They can run with the Bombers.
Who's going to be in the Grey Cup in Regina?
Calgary, Toronto.
Nice. A rematch of the 2017 Grey Cup in 1971.
How about that?
Tony, this has been fun. Fast but fun. Yeah, we covered a lot of ground. Let's keep in touch.
I look forward to it, Rod. Thank you so much. 2013
Calgary Sportsman of the Year, the great Tony Spoletini, founder and owner of Spolumbos. The Grim Reaper, Stu Grimson, joins us next from Nashville. Coming up in hour 2, Doug Dirks and the voice of the Medicine Hat Tigers, Gino Paoli, right here. It's the RP Show. We're live on Game Plus television across all 10 provinces and 31 states. We're also live streaming on YouTube and on the radio. WQEE, your home of Southern Sports and Talk, 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Golf, Hawaii, and the Four Seasons. Imagine picking up your clubs and feeling like a pro for one whole week in paradise. Well, you can get that chance this December with 5-star accommodations, a 3-day tournament at a championship course, and loads of VIP experiences. The Pro Leisure Golf Tour is going to make you feel like a pro, even if your golf game doesn't. So whether you're looking to grab your golfing buddies for a tropical getaway or just wanting to find an exclusive VIP experience to take part in, the PLGT is perfect for you.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital GMC. Reserve your brand new truck or SUV today. Check out our great selection of in-stock GM certified pre-owned trucks and make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital GMC, making back to busy easy. Bronco Plumbing, Heating and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience. Find us at ddgregina.com.
All right, we're back live at the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. And, hey, Clark, I had my earphones out saying goodbye to Tony. What did you say about the Grim Reaper? Do we got it? All right, 729 games in the National Hockey League. And as I've told the crew at Lampman, Saskatchewan, if you can bring him in, I don't even really like him. It was ironic that Stu Grimson and I would be partnered together to do a banquet together a couple weeks ago in Lampman. Best-selling author, not a bad-looking guy, tough guy, NHL Network analyst. What am I? Oh, practicing lawyer. How are you doing, Grimmer?
I'm great. That's an accurate depiction of our relationship, I think, Rod. Oil, water, me, you, oil, water.
Yes. Hey, you're practicing lawyer. You're practicing lawyer. Are you ever going to get good at it? When do you got to stop practicing, Grimmer?
I keep practicing. Until I get it right, I will continue to practice.
All right. I gotcha. Love you, my man. Hey, Nashville Predators in town tonight to take on the Calgary Flames. They got thumped up the road in Edmonton the other night. What can you tell us about this year's Nashville Predators?
You and I talked about this a little bit in Lampman, if I'm not mistaken, and I had my concerns about this Nashville Predators team. They didn't really do much to bolster themselves during the offseason this year. So, if you're looking to replicate the kind of year they had last year, Rod, Matt Duchene needs to have another career year. Roman Josi, UC Saros, Tanner Gino needs to have, rookie of the year. Obviously he's not a rookie this year, but he inserted himself into the mix last year, and I think was a strong consideration for rookie of the year. But you've got a half a dozen guys last year who had these, just brilliant for the ages type season. And if you're not replicating that across those same, handful of guys, where's the support going to come from? I think that's part of the challenge. They don't defend particularly well. I think they've kind of got away from that identity that they really solidified last year, which is, yes, we're pretty talented. Yes, we've got some folks up front that can score for us, but we're also really hard to play against. They played that really kind of pugnacious style of hockey and worked hard away from the puck too, continually kind of reloading back above the puck, whether in the offensive zone or through neutralize, always reloading back above the puck so that somebody's on the right side of it as they defend. They're not doing those things this year. So as they go through the southern part of Death Valley, Alberta, they get their hands full.
Ted in Red Deer, viewer says, the Grim Reapers, the best nickname anywhere in sport. Loves Stu on the NHL Network. Good for you, Ted, if you can get it. I can't. Grimmer, 17 days till I'm in Florida watching you on NHL Network again. Who gave you that nickname? Do you remember? Do you remember who gets credit for that?
Do you know what? I remember it well. It goes back to my WHA days, my first year as a member of the Regina Pats. My old general manager, he was my coach for a stretch of time as well. My old general manager, Bob Strum, gave me that nickname. I mean, I walked into camp, long, gangly, skinny, 17-year-old, I guess. Had the last name that started with Grim, played a bit of a physical role, and I think was trying to nudge me into a bit of a name. But yeah, it was Grim from the moment I set foot on WHL ice.
Bob Strum gets credit for that. I love it. By the way, for our listeners, I told Grimmer that we're on the radio in Atlanta now, and they love the hockey stories. Grimmer, let's tell them about something. When you brought up Tanner Gino in that hall in Lampman, did you notice the roof went off the place? Yeah. He's not even from there, but he's close. Oxbow, Saskatchewan. Can you talk about what he means to that Nashville team and what hockey players mean to their communities in Saskatchewan that go on to the NHL?
Oh, Yeah, I'd love to. No, you're right. I mean, I think Lampman and Oxbow are probably separated by a good 30 or more miles. But, Lampman is not unlike Oxbow in this respect. Small Canadian prairie town, and when you've got somebody who makes the NHL from origins like that, the community just wears it like a badge of honor, a real source of civic pride. So it's great for the game. It's great for those communities. And, I think the other additional thing, Rod, and I know you see the game in much the way that I do, it really harkens back to a different era. When a guy like that can make the kind of difference he does on an NHL roster, yes, he's a capable scorer. Yes, he's really effective, defensively, but he plays that really pugnacious brand of hockey, that really hard-nosed brand of hockey. And it requires stepping up and maybe trying to do something physical to turn momentum in an NHL contest, maybe sticking up for a teammate. And I'll tell you, folks from those small towns, they believe that's the way the game ought to be played. So when somebody steps out of their community and really makes a dent, helps contribute to the identity of an NHL franchise in that same way, it's just it harkens back to a really, I think, an important part of the game. It really does.
Oh, it's just awesome. It's absolutely awesome just being connected like that. I got always a million questions for Stu, but I'll turn it over some to the viewers. John in Winnipeg wants to know, Grimmer, what was it like playing hockey in Hartford for the Whalers?
It was really interesting. It was a 1-year stop for me. Didn't know that, of course, going into it. But it was a really interesting market. It was really my first time ever being in the East because Eastern Conference, I played my entire career up to that point in the Western Conference. But being able to bus to cities like Long Island, like Madison Square Garden in New York, Boston was a bus trip for us. Being able to, bus to these games, come back right after and sleep in our own beds, you really start to realize the National Hockey League is almost two separate leagues in terms of whether you are a member of the Western Conference or the Eastern Conference. Travel makes for a very, very different landscape, and you almost kind of coach, manage, and play the game in a different way when you're a part of, those different conferences. But really, I love the people of Hartford. Had a wonderful year there. My first year playing for Coach Paul Maurice, it was a great, great fit for me. And the fun part about it now, Roddy, is just looking back, the nostalgia that surrounds that organization. The love for the logo that is the once mighty Hartford Whalers, and just the way people, kind of rally around that. It's fun to have been a part of it. I'm really glad that it was one stop over the course of my NHL career.
Great logo, great green. I still love it every time I see it. Great uniform. Hey, last one for you, Grimmer. Yeah. Peter Marr was here the other day, the Hall of Fame voice of the Calgary Flames. He said to say, hey.
Oh, love Peter.
And we were talking about how do you slow down Connor McDavid, and he's like, well, in the 80s, we'd try and break his ankle. Can't do that anymore. That would have been your job. How do you slow down Connor McDavid? Nobody's been able to figure it out yet, but how would you try?
Yeah, no, it's a really difficult thing to do, no question about it, because this is a guy one-on-one. I think we've kind of left an era where it used to be the case when I played, you couldn't beat an NHL defenseman one-on-one. It was just a rare occasion when you did. Connor and others, who have kind of come after him, Connor's capable of doing that on most any night. So, to the listener's question, you've got to find other ways to be able to defend against a Connor McDavid. And I think one area that clubs often employ, and I agree with this, although it's not always successful, you've got to find a way to take away his ice through middle ice, through neutral ice, because that's where he really tends to generate a lot of the momentum off of which he's able to generate scoring chances. So if you can get in his lane, in middle ice and kind of disrupt that momentum he's trying to generate. That's one aspect to kind of containing a Connor McDavid. But out of the gates, that first step, I don't think there's a quicker step in hockey. It's really a night-to-night challenge for 31 teams across the NHL.
Tonight, it's New Jersey's chance to try and contain him. So, Grimmer, thanks. You're the busiest guy I know, so I appreciate the time. Thank you. We covered a lot of ground. Keep in touch, sir.
Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Always enjoy being on with you, Rod.
Thank you, pal. Appreciate it. The great Stu Grimson joining us from Music City. When we come back, a sports update. CBC legend Doug Dirks in hour 2 and the voice of the Medicine Hat Tigers, Gino Paoli. It's a busy one down here at Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. We're on Game Plus Television, YouTube Live, and on the radio, WQEE 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
Some of the challenges we face with the CT technology that we have today is some of the deficiencies in around integration with some of our other systems. The addition of 2 new 4D simulators within the programming at the Saskatchewan Cancer Agency is going to have significant impact on the care we provide to the people of Saskatchewan.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital Ford Lincoln. We have a great selection of brand new F-150s in stock. Drive it off the lot today. Reserve an incoming unit or pre-order the perfect vehicle for you. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital Ford Lincoln, making back to busy easy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
All right, you're looking live at Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Oh, very busy. By the way, we got to mention, what's today? Thursday? Friday here, 11:20 a.m. Mountain. That's 1:20 Eastern. Rock legend Tom Cochran's going to be joining us right here live. And by the way, so the show's almost sold out. Tom Cochran is kicking off a Canadian tour at Grey Eagle on Friday night. That's November the 4th in the event center, as you saw. So if you love Tom Cochran, and I'm going to be honest with you, it's going to be a little emotional for me because just like a lot of you, his voice is kind of the soundtrack to my career, my life in a lot of ways. Sorry, I'm stepping on my headphone cord here. So it's going to be really awesome. Never met Tom Cochran before. I never met a lot of these artists. Obviously, I've been a sports guy. It's cool getting into this entertainment world. And I apologize I didn't get to a lot of your questions for Stu Grimson, but he's a regular. He'll be back, so you got to watch every day, and eventually we'll get your questions in for one Stu Grimson. A sports update for Edo, Japan on this Thursday. In Portland, Oregon, Noah Boyko scored the shootout winner to lift the Prince George Cougars to a 5-4 comeback win over the Portland Winterhawks Wednesday night in the dub. In Brandon, Ryan Hofer notched a hat trick to lead the way as Everett halted a Brandon comeback, beating the Wheaties 6-3. In Swift Current, Sam McGinley knocked in the game-winning goal at 2:57 of overtime as Swift Current beat Vancouver 5-4. And in Saskatoon, Trevor Wong scored twice while adding 2 assists as Saskatoon downed Tri-City 5-1. To the NFL, Cleveland Browns general manager Andrew Berry expects suspended quarterback Deshaun Watson to start on December 4th in Houston against his former team when his 11-game ban ends for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. Watson, who played 4 seasons with the Texans, of course, was suspended in August after being accused of sexual misconduct by more than 24 women in massage therapy sessions. Staying in the NFL, newly acquired linebacker Bradley Chubb and the Miami Dolphins have reportedly agreed on a 5-year extension that could be worth as much as $119 million. The Dolphins made a trade with Denver earlier this week for Chubb, who had 5.5 sacks this season for the Broncos and is a past Pro Bowl pick. Lots of NFL coverage coming up on a Football Friday here, along with Tom Cochran, of course, as we head into a big NFL weekend, CFL playoff weekend, Canada West semifinals. This sports update for Edo, Japan. As I said, Edo, Japan's fast and friendly service plus online ordering options are easy and convenient when you're on the go. Just going to pop in here on the text line, see what we got going on there this morning, 902-518-3033. Now would be a very good time to text in movies, simply the word movies, to be randomly entered into a draw for gift certificates, for show tickets, and concession treats from our friends at Landmark Cinemas. Text movies now to 902-518-3033. We were talking earlier about Jerry Jones being in trouble with the NFL for his Halloween costume of a blind referee. I think they've put that to bed. I don't think Jerry's being fined. But Larry Dye, in last minute of play in hour one, last minute of play, Larry Dye in Medicine Hat writes in, he says, I think Rod and Darren should have been fined for not dressing up as Batman and Robin. I get it. Listen, I did go Halloween costume surfing, hunting. I didn't find anything that I liked. So how about that? And I went to that Halloween store in Mission Bay, Florida. Nothing there. Went to a Halloween store here in Calgary. Nothing there. So I didn't really, I didn't dress up, but I didn't poo-poo those that did. You do you. You have fun. Have fun with your life. We'll talk about the Grey Cup halftime act, guys. Jeff, the Stamps fan, said, is Tom Cochran going to announce he is that Grey Cup halftime show on the RP show tomorrow? Stay tuned. We'll talk about this with Doug Dirks coming up after this break on Game Plus and WQEE.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital GMC. Reserve your brand new truck or SUV today. Check out our great selection of in-stock GM-certified pre-owned trucks. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big, and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital GMC, making back to busy easy.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Some of the challenges we face with the CT technology that we have today is some of the deficiencies in around integration with some of our other systems. The addition of 2 new 4D simulators within the programming of the Saskatchewan Cancer Agency is going to have significant impact on the care we provide to the people of Saskatchewan.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience. Find us at ddgregina.com.
I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
And I remember my first pair of Cooperalls. I'd been asking my mom and dad for months because everybody had them. And then for my 11th birthday, I unwrapped them. And it was the most beautiful pair of royal blue Cooperalls from J&J Sports in the Golden Mile that I started crying. So I don't know where those Cooperalls are, but I remember my first pair like it was yesterday, and it was the greatest thing in the world.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. It's hour 2, coming in hot. I got to tell you, we are live from Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, beautiful Tsuut'ina Nation here in Calgary, Calgary's entertainment destination. And we are talking sports. It's been very busy. In hour 1, we were joined by Canadian and Calgary football legend Tony Spoletini, restaurateur to the stars, and Stu Grimson, the Grim Reaper, joining us. Also from Nashville, we roll into hour 2. We've got our very good friend Doug Dirks here, CBC fame, just overall a tremendous broadcaster. And welcome to the program again, Doug. Nice to see you.
Great to be here, Rod. You had Stu Grimson on. I've got a quick story about Stu Grimson.
Let us have it.
Back in the day when I did a nationally syndicated radio hockey show, Stu Grimson, as you know, tremendous fighter, one of the top pugilists in the NHL. Also, shockingly to me, back in those days, one of the brightest people I'd ever met as well. One of the most quotable. And, talk about dispelling stereotypes. After I interviewed Stu Grimson for the first time, he was one of my go-to guys.
Oh, yeah, of course. And he's nice. He's good looking. He's tough. He's a lawyer. He's smart. Yeah. I'm like, when anybody says God created us all equal, I'm like, you haven't met Stu Grimson yet. Right. We're not all equal. So the beautiful thing about Doug is he can talk National Hockey League, Canadian Football League, National Football League, whatever you want. He can play the game however you want to play it. So we kind of put to bed last night's happenings. But although I can talk about that. World Series last night's down to a best of 3. Yeah. And our poll question today is for Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center. Should Christian Javier have been pulled after 6 innings with a no-hitter on the go?
No.
You don't think so, huh? I voted yes, he should have.
Why? Why would you pull a guy?
It's about the win.
I understand that, but here's the thing about pitchers these days. They're all on pitch counts. I get that. And you're thinking ahead, maybe we're going to need him down the road at some point if Game 7 happens, and maybe he can go on short rest for a couple innings. But come on. I mean, he was dominant up until that point. And so was he ready to come out? I don't know. Back in the day, as you know, pitchers would have wrestled the manager to the ground if they'd taken them out after 6 innings. But right. I understand what the thinking is to get the win and to even up that series. But he was looking pretty good right until they pulled him.
Well, that's what's wonderful about sports is the debate, obviously. And in the sake of the win, yes. Regular season game, I would probably vote no. So there's that. So thank you, Doug, for jumping on that. We're going to get to the Canadian Football League stuff. I've been told this morning by a CFL source that on Friday they will be announcing the halftime act for the Grey Cup Championship game, which is in now 17 days from Mosaic Stadium in Regina. So before we turn our attention to the 13 NHL games tonight and whatever else, Doug, do you have a take on these upcoming semifinals this weekend and the halftime act story?
Well, the halftime act, we talked about this off air a little bit. We're not sure who it's going to be, but it perhaps might be another American artist. And, no disrespect to the American artists, but this is the Canadian Football League. And I think there's more than enough talent in this country that if you're trying to promote the Canadian Football League, why wouldn't you have a Canadian performing during the halftime show? But I'm not the one doing the hiring, and I'm not the one trying to boost the ratings, so that's just my opinion.
But we're both Canadians and longtime CFL fans. I'd like to think that we have an opinion. A good friend of ours, I don't mind saying it, Ryan Pollock, longtime public relations guy for the Saskatchewan Roughriders and also a junior hockey coach. He's off doing his own thing now, but he tweeted very simply, Luke Combs. And that's a cryptic message to everybody that it will be Luke Combs. Listen, I apologize. I had to look him up. I'm an old-time country music guy. Waylon, Willie, even George Strait's new to me, and he's 70. So Luke Combs, I had no idea, but he's from North Carolina, I looked up, and you said you have a problem with that, and I have a problem with that. If that's
well, I mean, it's not so much a problem, but Rod, we've covered so many Grey Cup games over the years that we've seen some, fantastic American talent. But I mean, if you're going for a name, it's one thing. I get that, right? You're trying to draw eyeballs to the TV set, so of course you're gonna try and hold the viewers through that halftime show and maximize the return on your advertiser's investment. I understand that, but there are enough big Canadian acts, I think, that you could do something similar to that. Now the question is, are they available? Can you afford them? And will they do it? Those are all the trump cards, I guess.
Those are the wrinkles that I think the CFL deals with that, for instance, the Super Bowl and the NFL would not. Right. But Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in and says, does the Super Bowl have to have an American performer?
No.
No, but the thing is, they had the weekend 2 years ago when Tampa Bay won it, and he's Canadian. Yeah. You said it. We got enough acts here that we don't need to go in good ones.
But could the CFL afford the weekend? I don't know what he was paid to perform at the halftime show at the Super Bowl, but I would imagine it could be over the salary cap in the CFL.
Well, I do want to. We should be talking about the games. Right. We should. But I'll just say this: Justin Bieber, 2012.
Yeah.
I was there. You were probably there because the Stamps were in it.
Right.
He did it for free.
It's not like they can't. It's not like they can't afford to do those kind of things as well.
Yeah. Well, it's great. Pub, man, it's the most watched, or was the most watched Canadian television program yearly. Now I think it's the Super Bowl. And then the other was, and this is where I have the problem with how toxic some things have become with the CFL. Alessia Cara performed in Edmonton in 2018. Again, I was there, and she got so ripped from neck to navel, she's like, I'm never doing that again. From the fans that didn't like her outfit, didn't like her set. It's like, what a world, Doug. What a world we live in.
Well, and that's the thing, too, right? I mean, I guess they have to weigh the advantages and disadvantages to performing during any halftime show, whether it's the Super Bowl or the Grey Cup. And as you mentioned, Justin Bieber, of course, doing it for free. What about the social capital that you're gaining? It's not just about the dollars through some of the top acts. It's also about, driving their social media platforms and everything else that goes with it. So Too bad for Alessia Cara, but I guess that happens.
Yeah, well, it's just not like it used to be. I didn't talk about the All-Star voting flub, but I will because one of the viewers, and to be honest, there's a lot of football people around the Grey Eagle. You've been here enough over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I say this about the Grey Eagle. They love the Flames. They like the Flames. They love the Stampeders.
Right.
Seriously.
Sure.
Yeah, and so they're all talking this morning about the CFL announced the Division All-Stars yesterday and then had to rescind the announcement because of a tabulation. It's not completely unheard of. We had it in a U.S. election, right, Lee? We're not allowed to talk about that, but John in Edmonton says lots of play. Did you have a point on that? Or
no?
Okay.
I'm staying away from that one.
All right. Lots of players in the CFL are not happy that they're not getting the bonus and their all-star status has been removed. Not a good look for the CFL. My immediate thought on that when I heard it was, can you imagine the behind-the-scenes conversations?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's not, from a public relations standpoint, not just the players, of course, being upset, but it just doesn't look good on the league. And I mean, I don't know what was at the core of that issue, but there's certain things you have to get right and you can't afford to get wrong. And this is one of them, of course, because nobody wins in this case, obviously, literally. And it becomes a big public relations issue. We should be talking about the games, right? Anything that takes away from the games is a negative, especially for the Canadian Football League right now when you've got, the World Series underway, the NHL is happening, the Toronto Raptors and the NBA. I mean, this is that time of year where you're fighting for attention, and this isn't the kind of attention that you want.
And that's my point. I promised I would not spend the day banging away on the CFL for their own flubs that have taken away from this weekend's playoff games, and I'm going to stay true to my word and move to this. Over 90% of our voters yesterday in the daily poll said the West semifinals the game of the weekend.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Calgary at BC,
yeah.
Jake Mayer versus Nathan Rourke.
Right.
Hey, things changed a lot, Doug, since we last talked. Bo Levi was a starting quarterback the last time we were together.
Yes, he was. And we may see him this weekend as well.
Yeah.
You just never know what's going to happen in this game. A lot of people talking about the fact that this game is in BC, at BC, the Lions are the home team, of course. But if you look at the weather here in Calgary over the last few days and the forecast for the weekend, I would wager to guess that, 90% of the Stampeders perhaps would like the home field advantage. But this is going to be the great equalizer when you're playing indoors in a dome at this time of year. We've covered enough of these games to know that, everything goes out the window when you're playing outdoors at this time of year with the weather that we've seen here. If it's minus 15 degrees and snowing heavily, all bets are off, literally and figuratively. And in this case, at least the game is going to be under controlled conditions. It'll be good for TV. It'll be great for the players, great for the fans. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this unfolds.
It sounds great. They say that the upper deck is being opened because of ticket sales at
That's
BC Play. It is absolutely great news. And the thing is, you talk about the weather here and so forth. For whatever reason, I blame cutbacks in the media. It's not as big a deal as it used to. But how about those old Calgary-Sask battles here on these semifinals and finals?
Right, absolutely.
Massive.
Huge
weekends.
And and you know what, I have to say, following the league like you have for so many years, attendance was not great this year at McMahon Stadium. There were some games that were pretty thin compared to previous years, and Edmonton was a disaster again this year. I mean, they haven't won a game at home in 2 years now, and that's obviously hurting their attendance. Saskatchewan is always going to be, one of the portals for the league, and Winnipeg is doing well, but these games, they need to draw well. So it's nice to see that there's going to be a good crowd in BC. I would suspect, and I don't want to do an ad for the airlines here, but you've got some smaller airlines now that are flying into Vancouver and very favorable prices on flights. I would suspect you're going to see a large Calgary Stampeder contingent at that game this weekend.
Boy, I hope you're right. That would be cool. Now, to the breakdown of the game, and I think you heard us say Tony Spoletini was here last hour. It was awesome chatting with Tony.
Oh, sure.
He's got the stamps to win, Doug. Shockingly.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Calgary Stampeders won the game. I mean, sure, BC, had an advantage during the course of the season, but there were some very close games. They came down to, the last couple of series in a couple of those games as well. High-scoring games, a lot of offense. Both teams seem to be peaking at the right time, perhaps, or at least playing some of their best football. I think this one's a toss-up. I would not be surprised to see the Stampeders win this game at all.
I think it is a toss-up. And by the way, here's a cue up for our viewers. Next segment, we'll get into the National Hockey League because it's just been a wonderful start to the season. We're in week 4 of the regular year, and there are 13 games tonight, including the Predators here in Calgary and New Jersey's at the Oilers. And the Leafs won last night, so we'll get into all of that. That seems to be breaking news this year. But the line, from what I see, last I read, was BC favored by 2.5 at home. That's basically a toss-up.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
If it's less than a field goal,
yeah.
I mean, and it wouldn't surprise me if it came down to that at the end of this game. Either way.
John in Edmonton says, Rod, are you flying to BC for the game on Saturday? No, that's a hard no. You misunderstood, Doug. He's suggesting you do.
Hey, listen, there are deals out there. I'm not going to name the airlines, but there are deals out there.
What's the cheapest? What'd you see?
Well, listen, okay, I'm going to name an airline here. Lynx. I flew Lynx actually in Ontario to Hamilton last weekend. The plane was half full. And I think we paid $500 all in for 2 of us. And I think they've got another sale going on right now to Vancouver. So I think you can get there for a couple $100.
That's not. Wow. You're quite a pitch man, Doug.
Well, if anybody from Lynx Airlines.
Well, I'm looking up flights from Fort Lauderdale to Las Vegas in December because 17 days until I'll be back there.
Well, doesn't Southwest have? I think they have a sale on too.
$96. I think I could get returned.
Right.
But to the Eastern semifinal.
Right.
I was not overly concerned that only 8% of our viewers said that's the game of the week.
Oh, yeah.
That's an Eastern Canadian thing, but it's a big game. I would think it'll be a big crowd in Montreal, Hamilton at Montreal.
Yeah, well, you hope so. I mean, it's right. Listen, unless there is a huge upset, I can't see a team from the West not winning the Grey Cup in Regina in 17 days from now.
Yeah.
I mean, but, we've seen it in the past before. I mean, it could come down to the weather again. We don't know what the weather's going to be like at Mosaic Stadium, towards the end of November. So whoever comes out of the East, you can't write them off. But I would be shocked if it wasn't one of the Western teams that win this Grey Cup.
Funny you say that. Did you go to the 2017 Grey Cup in Ottawa, the Snow Globe, Calgary, Toronto?
Yes, I was at that one. Yeah, absolutely.
Was that as much fun as it looked on TV? Just from a atmosphere.
Okay, describe. Yeah. What's your definition of fun? It was different, that's for sure. And being down on the field after the game was unusual as well. But I think back to some of the Calgary Edmonton games, playoff games back in the day when I first started at CBC Calgary in the early '90s, and it was I got frostbite doing my on camera after one game. I took my hat off because I was younger and obviously vain. Took my hat off for about 30 seconds, one take, and I still have frostbite on this right ear whenever it's cold.
Wow.
That reminds me of that Western final back in the day.
Isn't that amazing? Look at the stories this guy has. Well, the reason I asked was I learned from a legendary radio guy, Jim Jerome, that does a lot of Grey Cup events, which I ended up doing a lot of Grey Cup events. Go to the Grey Cup, but don't stay for the game. Because on the Saturday, the airports are empty. Right. Everybody's there already.
And if you're there for the game, you're trapped until Tuesday or Wednesday.
Right. And I'm like, Jim, you're not as dumb as you look. So Ottawa, I flew in, emceed all my events, and then I was gone home and I watched the game on TV. And that's when Shania came in on the sled dog.
In comfort. While
it was perfect. Yeah. I'll do it I'll be watching this year's Grey Cup from Boca Raton, Florida. It's the best thing. I'm glad to hear you say that it was fun, even though the Stamps didn't win that one. That was a...
but I was happy for Henry Burris, so it's all relative.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. We'll be back with all hockey talk next, so get your questions ready, everybody, across the National Hockey League. Doug Dirks is with us, legendary broadcaster across this nation, and we got Gino Paoli in the house. Right, Gino? Give us a wave. Look at that. Medicine Hat Tigers fame. It's the RP Show on Game Plus Television, YouTube Live, and on the radio on your southern home of sports and talk, WQEE 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Smoky in the air, that's a lot of fun. Big time, big time, big time, big time. Big time. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital Ford Lincoln. We have a great selection of brand new F-150s in stock. Drive it off the lot today. Reserve an incoming unit or pre-order the perfect vehicle for you. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital Ford Lincoln, making back to busy easy.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
We are live from Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, Calgary's entertainment destination, and the Stage Bar specifically is where we're at. Your number one source for game day entertainment. Doug Dirks is here, and on the way, Gino Paoli a little later on. It is a game day in Calgary. The Flames home tonight to the Nashville Predators. And Doug, I want your take, by the way, if you don't mind, because it's Calgary.
Sure.
I've been here now over a year. I really get the under. Everybody's got a take on the Flames.
Sure they do.
So I want yours.
Because, a few things have happened here, Rod, in the last 6 months or so.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because when Matthew Tkachuk wanted out, went to Florida, and you had Johnny Hockey going to Columbus, everybody, the sky was falling, right? That was Chicken Little time for the Calgary Flames. But Brad Treliving, the general manager, he went out and got, Huberdeau and Uyghur from Florida in exchange for Tkachuk. And, he's made some great moves. He signed Nazem Kadri as a free agent who's off to a tremendous start with the Calgary Flames. So I don't hear a lot of talk right now about losing Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Tkachuk. And there seems to be a lot of optimism, even though the Flames have lost the last two, including a disastrous third period implosion the other night against the Seattle Kraken at home. But this is a work in progress. I think with the changes that they made during the offseason, we're 8 games in. You have to be patient.
So I know you don't mind answering questions from the viewers. That's what we do here.
Right.
So maybe I'll bring them as they come in. I'm not done on the Flames, but Ryan is watching in Saratoga, New York, and he says, question for Rod and Doug. Are the New Jersey Devils for real? They've won 7 of 8, including a shutout win against the defending Stanley Cup champion. Well, Colorado doesn't look like themselves for one.
Right, and it's still early, of course.
That's my point. We're at the 10-game mark.
Yeah, and a lot of people like the Devils, actually, and a lot of the pundits, and of course, opinions are like armpits. Everyone has them, of course.
And most stink.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's a long season. We'll see if the Devils are for real. But, these points that they're picking up in October and early November are just as valuable as the ones that you pick up in February and March. So, good on them for the start that they've had. And I think a lot of people like them long term. So work in progress, like I said, like the Calgary Flames, but trending in the nice direction.
Well, Ryan, you tell me what you like about the New Jersey Devils. I haven't seen them play live at all, and to be honest, Doug, where they're situated, we don't see them a lot on television.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Unless they're playing one of the Canadian teams, unless they're playing the Leafs on Saturday night or the Montreal Canadiens, we don't get to see the Devils a lot unless you go out and search them out specifically online on NHL.com or somewhere along those lines. But watching the highlights every night, they've done some good things and they're showing some promise.
I think they're pretty young. I think we can all agree on that. And we've had guys. Hey, remember, Clark? We were asking who was the live NHL or current NHLers we've had on the air. We forgot about Cam Severson. We had Cam on the air, pride of Norquay, Saskatchewan. But Damon, sorry, Cam's his brother, Damon Severson, yeah. But they're young. Like I had the New York Rangers, I said, Doug, was the fourth team in the NHL yesterday, and they're like, the Devils are ahead of the Rangers.
Yeah.
The Rangers have been building. They went to the conference finals last year. New Jersey's just kind of come out of nowhere. Right. And I'm wondering.
And it's a long season. Right, and you look at it. You look at a team like the Rangers with the way they've been built. The goaltending seems to be okay. Obviously, they've got some great goaltending. They've got some excellent veterans as well. The pieces all appear to be in place for the Rangers. And as you mentioned, the Devils are young, and so it's a learning process, right? And over the course of an 82-game schedule, you would think that the veterans on the Rangers are going to manage that better than a young team. So. How's it going to play out? Let's talk about this, in late December as opposed to at the beginning of November.
Ted in Red Deer says, would you guys agree that a good start doesn't necessarily mean a successful season, but a bad start makes it a very hard slog through the season?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a good point. As I mentioned, these points you're getting now are just as valuable as the ones that you're getting later in the season. But if you fall behind the 8 ball early, trying to make it up, there's so much parity in the NHL these days, and some of these divisions are so tight that if you get behind early in the season, it's hard to catch up because you've got the divisional games that become so much more important. Those 4-point games, and then you're starting to look at the schedule going, look, we can't afford to lose this one, we have to win this one, and in some cases you need to put together like a 7 or an 8 game winning streak, and that can be difficult, right, given the grind of the NHL schedule, unless you're building in the right direction. So don't fall behind early because it's a long, tough slog.
Every day I watch SportsCenter and got to remind myself that it is early in the season because everybody's making all these overreactions and coaches being fired. And I just think about the Oilers last year. I said this the other day, Doug. It was that same season where Jim Matheson and Leon got in that spat, remember? Why are you so pissy, Leon?
Yeah.
They ended up in the Final Four.
Yeah, and they're legit, obviously. I mean, they made some changes in the offseason as well. And, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, when you have two of those players, two of the top players in the world, you're going to be fine. I know there's a lot of panic to a certain degree, and some of it is, media generated, obviously, here in Calgary. And the fans are questioning Jonathan Huberdeau. He's only got the 1 goal and 5 points, and he's struggled on 5-5. And Darryl Sutter, said he's got to pick up his pace. He's got to play at a faster level than he has so far in the season. And Huberdeau has acknowledged that, yes, he needs to be better. But again, he's got new line mates, right? He had 115 points last year in Florida, 85 assists. That's not a fluke. I don't care who you're playing with. You may see a drop up in your production depending on who your line mates are, but I don't think you go from 115 points to 40 in one season when you're in your late 20s.
Well, this is a fun chat. So On the Devils, lastly, Ryan says, I admit it's a little early to tell, but as a Devils fan, I'm very excited that they're stacking wins this early. Yeah. You're looking at it, Ryan, exactly the right way. Jennifer from the Four Seasons says, I guess we will see if they are against the Oil tonight. Go Oilers! Pittsburgh seems to always start out slow. Right. Once they get going, hard to stop. The Penguins have lost 6 in a row, including a 6-3 loss to the Sabres last night. But I'm not done on the Flames. And Huberdeau, listen, I told you I spent half my time in Florida.
Sure.
Huberdeau, while he's a star there and he was the longest-serving Panther, he doesn't have to answer at the grocery store or the gas station why he was -3 last night because they don't know.
Right.
So I think Hubie, he's Canadian. He's from Eastern Canada, so he gets it. But this is new to him, Doug.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you've hit it on the head because he could blend in. I'm sure he wasn't getting accosted at Starbucks on his way to the rink practice every day as he was wearing shorts and a golf shirt on his way to practice in Florida. But again, he was a star when he was young, and he's had a terrific season last year. Was it a fluke? I don't think you have 115-point fluke seasons. Is he going to feel more pressure? Absolutely. Are there going to be more questions for the media here in Calgary than there were in Florida? Yes. Are you going to have the national media writing columns about you, your struggles, not just here in Calgary, but across the country? Of course you are. But would you rather be in Calgary answering those questions or Toronto or Montreal? I would suspect that Jonathan Huberdeau would prefer to be in Calgary answering those questions than he would be in Toronto because, yes, the spotlight is bright here, but it's not nearly as bright as it would be in Toronto or Montreal.
All I'm saying to the viewers, not to you, is that it is early because I go to those games at FLA Live Arena.
Right.
They're not the hugest crowd.
No.
And I think the people that are watching in Florida, and we have a lot of fans down there that do, they're like, what do they think of us there in Canada? I'm like, well, they're following what you're doing, but they wish you'd buy more tickets. Listen, you would agree, Doug. Anytime you walk in the Saddle Dome, there's it's a vibe.
Sure. Any Canadian arena, right?
That's exciting.
You take a look at what's been happening in Vancouver, right? People are losing their minds in Vancouver over the start that the Canucks had, and understandably so. And Toronto, there's been all kinds of panic as well. There was talk about. Listen, when John Tortorella, the visiting coach, has to defend the Toronto Maple Leafs coach in a media scrum on the day of a game, you know that you're under the media microscope. And of course, Torts was great, right? He said, I hope he jams it to all of you. Not tonight. Not tonight.
I loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. There are times where, and it's interesting because Tortorella's still around. Daryl Sutter, I think back to the 2004 Stanley Cup run that I covered where the Flames lost to the Tampa Bay Lightning in 7 games, and those guys were the highlight of my day because, they scared the heck out of you when you were at the media availabilities because you didn't want to be the guy that got, get a tongue lashing in front of your colleagues, but there was never a dull moment. And with Tortorella, obviously never a dull moment either.
Same thing.
And he knows Sheldon Keefe, and he knows that coaches are expendable. Look at what happened to Steve Nash with the Brooklyn Nets, right? Was Steve Nash the problem with that team?
Apparently not.
I would think not, but who goes?
Lastly, we have about 5 minutes left with Doug, but we got a lot of viewers in Manitoba on Game Plus TV, carried by Bell MTS Cable. Telus Optic TV here in Alberta and BC. David in Winnipeg says at 5-3-1 for the Winnipeg Jets. Right. Doug, do you think Rick Bowness is right saying he's not happy with how they're playing compared to when Paul Maurice would handle the team? So hang on. And from Andrew, because it's a big game. Montreal's at Winnipeg tonight, man.
Sure.
They want to talk about that game.
Yeah.
Andrew Stout, one of our viewers, writes in. He says, Salut tout le monde, which is hello, everyone. Habs have to do something tonight as Edmondson is close to returning. I hear they have to do something by 5 Eastern today. I don't know about that, but that might be the marquee game in the NHL tonight.
And I need to say salut tout le monde also because I grew up in Montreal and went to several Stanley Cup parades back when I was a kid.
You're spoiled,
so
yes.
I know about the excitement that you're feeling right now. And so the Jets at 5-3-1. Coaches will say a lot of things to try to motivate their players and their teams, of course, right? And so I kind of, again, it's early, as we mentioned, Rod, but I discount some of the things that coaches say because some of the stuff that they're saying in the media is as much for their players as it is for the fans and for the reporters covering the team. And so if you're trying to motivate somebody, perhaps internally, maybe that's you're trying to be subtle, maybe not so subtle at times, of course. Daryl Sutter, as I mentioned here, he's a master at it, right? He has called guys out in the past when he didn't think they were performing well, and some guys need that kick in the pants and some guys need a pat on the back. So it all depends on your strategy and what you're trying to get out of those players. So, I take everything that coaches say with a grain of salt, because often I'm wondering, what the motivation is and what the strategy is when it comes to dealing with the media.
That's a very good point. But as far as Winnipeg goes, it's an interesting situation because they are a talented team.
They're solid for sure.
Yes. Yeah. And I had them picked to miss the playoffs based on where they were trending. Yet 5-3-1 and talent and one of the best goalies in the National Hockey League. How big of a measuring stick is tonight's game against a Montreal team that's, let's be honest, blown everybody's socks off so far?
Yeah, the Canadians have been very surprising, right? I mean, with Carey Price saying I'm not retiring, but I'm retiring basically a couple of weeks ago. Goaltending was, that's what everybody was talking about in Montreal. What's it going to look like long term? And the Habs, they had some problems early in the season, and then they started to look better. And let's face it, whenever you've got Montreal playing a team like Winnipeg or Calgary or Edmonton, whenever it's one of those games, there are just as many Habs fans as there are Jets fans. Sometimes in these rinks.
Sure.
You go to the Saddledome when the Habs are in town or the Leafs are in town, or you go to when the Oilers are even in town in Calgary, you see a lot of Oilers jerseys.
It felt like half and half Saturday night.
Absolutely. It becomes this whole other thing, right? Yeah. So the buzz is great. It's early in the season, and coaches like to talk about measuring sticks, and so do players. So we'll find out, I guess, about 10 hours from now?
I think there's a reason why they talk about it. It's real.
Sure.
Right?
But it's also, I think, we get all excited about these early season games, and there's a lot of hype and there's a lot of focus on it. And is my team as good as I think they are, or are they as bad as I think they are, or are they trending down? Are they going to need to fire the coach? Do we need to make a trade? Let's face it, we're all fans. Even the reporters are fans to a certain degree, right? People love to talk about these kind of things, but ultimately, as we've seen in the past, look what's happening in the World Series right now. Philadelphia Phillies, 87 wins during the regular season, right? A wild card team playing against the Houston Astros, who had, 106 wins? 104 wins? You'd think it would be a huge mismatch, but this is the reason we watch these games, is because anything can happen. And so let's get excited, but let's also remember that it's only November 3rd.
For the NHL, yes.
Yeah.
A lot of hockey is left to be played.
Absolutely.
Doug, it's always a pleasure when you come down. I really appreciate it, man.
Rod, always great being here, and I'm only 10 minutes away, so you know where to find me.
Awesome, thank you. The great Doug Dirks joining us here at Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. When we return, the voice of the Tigers right here at the Stage Bar, Gino Paoli. You're watching on Game Plus TV and YouTube Live and listening on WQEE 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. Hoorah!
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
I gotta hit the beat.
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Golf, Hawaii, and the Four Seasons. Imagine picking up your clubs and feeling like a pro for one whole week in paradise. Well, you can get that chance this December with 5-star accommodations, a 3-day tournament at a championship course, and loads of VIP experiences. The Pro Leisure Golf Tour is going to make you feel like a pro, even if your golf game doesn't. So whether you're looking to grab your golfing buddies for a tropical getaway or just wanting to find an exclusive VIP experience to take part in, the PLGT is perfect for you.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
People donate blood for moments like this.
But there are lots of reasons why Canada's Lifeline needs donors every day.
Like the fact that someone with leukemia can need up to 8 units of blood a week.
Or that donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days.
Or to help new moms and babies, like Henry.
There's lots of reasons to donate blood. That's why we need donors every day.
The need for blood is constant. Join Toyota and our Toyota dealers in supporting Canada's Lifeline.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
All right, another very busy day on the RP Show, and a fun one. They always are. And just before our next guest, a sports update from Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Game 5 of the World Series is set to go tonight as the Philadelphia Phillies host the Houston Astros. Christian Javier and Houston's bullpen combined on just the second no-hitter in World Series history in a 5-0 win last night to tie the series 2-2. All-star Justin Verlander will get the start for the Astros as the Phillies counter with Noah Syndergaard. By the way, that is our poll question today. Should Javier have been pulled after 6 innings last night with a no-hitter on the go? Clark, what are they saying on Facebook? What is the body of work on that one? Last night, 61% say no, they shouldn't have pulled him off the hill. And that includes Doug Dirks, our last guest. I say yes, it's about the wins. It's the World Series, y'all. The poll is for Capital Auto Mall. They've got dealerships all across the Canadian prairies and the state of California. And Canada's Carrie Anerson will lead her undefeated rink against fellow undefeated USA at the inaugural Pan-Continental Curling Championship in Calgary today. Anerson's rink booked Canada's ticket into the World Women's Curling Championship following her second win of the day and fifth of the event on Wednesday night. On the men's side, Canada's Brad Gushu will lead his first-place rink against Australia, then New Zealand today. This sports update is for Ballers Rec Room, home of the greatest Grey Cup party on Friday, November the 18th. And today, we've confirmed coming to the event that Ballers is hosting, presented by Twisted Tea. We will be joined by World Series champion Greg Zahn and Grey Cup champion Charleston Hughes. Get your tickets at Eventbrite, and we'll see you there the Friday of Grey Cup week. All at Ballers Rec Room, and for the Tap Brew House and Drive-Thru Liquor Store, and for Red Bull Canada, Red Bull gives you wings. Okay, if we can get the camera on this very svelte, very smiley, very cheerful guy. Gino Paoli, the voice of the Pedersen Tigers, joins us here at the Grey Eagle. How you doing, Gino?
I'm doing great. So good to be back, Rod.
It's always good to have you.
I love that it's a couch now. I'm not across you, so it's you've got the talk show feel now. I love it. It's so good.
That's what we want, and it only took us 19 weeks to get it down. When I came back here, I was walking through the backstage, the green room as it were,
Yes.
and I saw that couch. I'm like, let's drag that thing out onto the stage.
Yes.
It's worked so great.
And if you're really tired, just go have a nap. It happens.
Drop the curtains here. It's Italian Day today. Tony Spoletini in hour 1, Gino Paoli in hour 2. Is there a vibrant Italian community in this town?
Absolutely, there is. You go to the Calgary Italian Club, and if you look hard enough, you might see a few DePaoli names scratched on the wall a little bit somewhere. Beautiful place. And I'm surprised we should go for Spolumbos today is what we should do.
Yeah, we've been invited.
We could.
We've been invited. I think that's so. Gino's the voice of the Medicine Hat Tigers. They're in town to take on the Calgary Hitmen, and we can get into all of that. But listen, and whenever I hear Gino's name attached to being voice of the Tigers, what do they bring up? What do they bring up?
Am I going to be driving the bus? That's the first question I get asked.
That and replacing the Dean of Western Hockey League Broadcasters, Bob Ridley. And I know that down there on the radio in Atlanta, WQEE, Rhino Radio, where they're the home of the River Kings hockey team, they're big hockey fans to there, so they would get it. You've replaced a guy that was the only voice the Medicine Hat Tigers have ever known since what, 1969?
1970.
Close.
Hey, that's pretty good for just off the top of your head. There's a banner, so I was reminded every day that I could see it.
Yeah, well, you're in the fairly new Co-op Center there. You got a great gig.
Oh, it's a great gig.
Is it tough? Listen, we all love Rids, of course. He's the Dean of Broadcasting.
I love Reds.
Yeah.
Come on.
Do you feel some pressure there?
Of course I do. I think there's a lot of pressure on myself and the team right now from kind of what happened last year, Rod. Obviously, it didn't end well for the season for the Tigers. But, man, you look at the way they've been playing right now. I think they're down by a shot or up by a shot going into the third 9 times out of 10. And they've never been out of a game. They haven't been shut out yet this year, knock on wood. Hopefully that trend always continues in that direction. I think Willie has done an incredible job.
Willie Desjardins.
Yeah. Good
Sorry to cut you off, but just former coach in Dallas.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. But no, Joe and Josh have been great as coaches, along with Jace Desjardins, his son, the video coach, is a brilliant mind as well. The Macer family has actually treated me extremely well. And they've welcomed me in open arms. And they didn't have to, but they did for some reason. So
yeah, I've known a lot of people that have worked for that team for a very long time, and they've loved it.
They're very loyal franchise. Yeah, I'm grateful.
I was pretty happy when you got the job. But I'll tell you, here's the funny thing about Gino. He's not afraid to speak his mind, which in today's day and age has landed me here. But this summer, you were calling a baseball game in Brooks.
Okotoks.
Okotoks. And you couldn't get the windows open. It was like 37 degrees Celsius, which is like 94 Fahrenheit.
It was awful.
I thought you were going to die.
I thought I was too. And then I finally was able to, I think I grabbed like a screwdriver, just pried it open. I probably wrecked the air vents or the air that holds it's the old school ways. And it was like 35 that day. It was gross.
You're not still going to do baseball, are you?
No, I'm done. I'm done in Okotoks completely. So I hung my hat and thought it might come back for the summer, but it's time for somebody else to do that. And someone else to be outspoken in the foothills.
Yeah, well, you were the voice of the Okotoks Oilers, and your color guy was...
Mark Frank.
The
great former Medicine Hat Tiger, Mark Frank.
And I saw this guy. I went to the game. You graciously invited me out there. You're always inviting me places and bringing me things, and it's great. And I was like, is that the same Mark Frank? He's a fairly legendary hockey guy, you know.
I know, and he's becoming a god in Okotoks this year.
Is that right?
Yes, he is. Everybody loves Mark. He texted me. He was so excited when I got the job, and because he was a former Tiger, he wanted me to go. He's like, "You gotta go to the Dub, kid. You gotta just go." I was like, "Okay, I'm going."
Good for you. I said the same thing.
I know.
Yeah. So a couple things. One, we do have a presentation here that we don't have our third camera. Oh, that's hot, man.
Beautiful.
We have a presentation here from Gino. Can you tell the viewers what it is?
Oh, it's just a beautiful Medicine Hat Tigers. I want to say like charcoal/black, which is apparently your favorite color.
Yeah, how'd you know that? They told you that?
I just, Mickey Laddick brought it for me. The trainer had it, so thanks to Mick for that. And
Thank you, Mickey.
Mickey, one of the best trainers in the Western League, I've been told, so...
Yeah, it's CCM too, by the way.
There you go.
So it's
we know how to
quality stuff. If Serena's watching, what does CCM stand for? She knew what it was. Do you know what it stands for? It does stand for something.
Not a clue.
And so while we're sitting here, I just want to say thanks for this. I love my junior hockey gear. I wear it all the time. Thank you, Tigers. Jeff Kabilas in Winnipeg says, congratulations to Rob Van Stone. He was named the 2022 recipient of the Bob Ridley WHL Award for Media Excellence today. A regular of this show, post-media columnist, Rob Vanstone, you said you knew about this ahead of the announcement.
Well, Bob is going. I know I don't want to spoil too much, but now that it's kind of news, like we shot a video at Co-op Place with Rids as he congratulated Rob on winning the award. So I knew for about a couple weeks that it was coming down because that's when he did it. And Rids graciously told me about what Rob's contributions are. I know Rob's a big Denver Broncos fan, so we've had a rough year, me and him, from afar watching the NFL. So. You know what? It's great. I wasn't sure how this media award was going to go, where it was going to just be radio guys or television. But I'm glad they're putting print media in there. It's a great, medium of media that comes out. So, and Rob's one of the best writers in the Western League. So why wouldn't you give it to him?
They should be handing out a lot of these Bob Ridley Media Awards because they need a lot more media coverage of this league that we love so much. But I have a tough time year by year of finding out information on it. Troy Durrell writes in.
Durrell.
Oh, you know him?
He works with me, yes. He's our media services manager.
He writes in and says, looking handsome, Gino.
That's probably because I drove him the last 2 days because his car is broke down.
From my cousin Christine in Medicine Hat. Is Gino going to drive the bus as well?
That's a hard no, Christine. I can barely drive my car straight. So why would I even...
It's just so good.
Well, it's funny because I did the U.S. road trip with the Tigers, which was awesome. It was so cool. And I'm thinking, how did Reds do that? And I think I realized why he did it. / he loves driving, and he's still driving now. I think he does once in a while. He drives limo in Med Hat, which I think is the coolest thing ever. That who better to pick you up in Medicine Hats
than Bob Ridley?
Why wouldn't you? And I was like, you know what? I think because there's that much more ample leg room driving the bus. I think that's why Ridge really liked it. So maybe I'll drive the bus. Just kidding. No, that's not ever.
Nobody wants that.
I don't want that.
People said that to me for years. I said, do you, coach, want me driving?
No.
They never brought it up again.
Exactly.
By the way, thank you. Jeff the Stamps fan says, Canadian Cycle and Motor Company, CCM. From Brandon Crow, our friend from Hockey Canada.
What a guy.
My old roommate, Gino. He lives up to his Italian heritage. That man can devour a pizza.
He's not wrong.
Guilty as charged.
Look at this.
We'll be back with more with Gino right after this. It's the RP Show on Game Plus TV, YouTube Live and WQEE 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right. And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital GMC. Reserve your brand new truck or SUV today. Check out our great selection of in-stock GM certified pre-owned trucks and make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital GMC, making back to busy easy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Here we go. We are back live at Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. As you see, the snow has fallen. It's winter time for those that maybe didn't know. And I know we have listeners on the air in Atlanta that are on the radio. They have no idea what we're talking about, but enjoy the hockey talk. That's what they tell me. We've got Gino Paoli here, the voice of the Tigers. And one more from my cousin Christine in Medicine Hat. She says, Gino has a great voice and a wonderful giggle.
I will say to your cousin Christine, I think she helped me get tickets to the World Juniors that one day.
Probably.
And I want to say thank you, Christine.
Yeah, she's a wonderful person. She's my first cousin.
Come visit me in the booth if you want.
Well, there you go.
Come and visit.
So talk about the Tigers and the season and why you're in Calgary. You said the first game at Seven Chiefs Arena is tomorrow night.
Yeah.
But they were supposed to play last night against Victoria.
But they canceled it because the roads were absolutely terrible. I was going to come home last night, and just because I take a couple days here, because the girlfriend's here and can kind of make that work and work remotely as much as I can when possible. But yeah, the Central Division this year, minus the undefeated Red Deer Rebels, is still extremely wide open to me. It's 3-point separation from 2 to 5. Edmonton's only got the one win, but we kind of expected that this season after, of course, you go all in with what you did and you get to the Memorial Cup, you win the league. You checked most of the boxes that year, but Calgary's come on strong. We saw what Riley Fiedler-Schultz did against the Prince Albert Raiders, getting 5 goals in a game that tied or I think beat a Calgary Hitman record. Lethbridge has been on a 9-year streak of making the playoffs, so they haven't gone away either. And the Tigers are right there, along with Swift Current. I think Swift Current kind of had a slow start. They're starting to get their NHL draft picks back. Medhat won't see the Broncos till Christmas, and I get to spend New Year's Eve in Swift Current, so can't wait.
That's I'll give you some tips on where to go there.
Yes.
This is some good spots.
All right, we'll do that.
And it's an underrated town, especially on New Year's Eve.
There you go. And the Tigers, I think, are just a very young, exciting, fun team to watch, and it's just taking a little bit longer to put things together because they've put in some great efforts. You look, I don't want to bring it up too much just because he is 14 years old, is Gavin McKenna, who doesn't have exceptional stats, I think mostly because he's still 14, but he's an 07 this year, so kind of flirting with what maybe Connor Bedard had to deal with a couple years ago. But with Caden Lindstrom and Tomas Mercic going to the U17 tournament in Langley, that starts today, actually. So for all you aficionados out there that love your hockey, go check out the U17s. That allows Gavin to come up as an emergency, and he's an unreal hockey player, and I think he's got some great players that are mentors to him. We got Brendan Lee, who's the leader in power play goals in the Western Hockey League. He's been terrific on the power play. Go ahead. You're going to say something.
Just people want to know what's up with the Red Deer Rebels jumping out to a 13-0 start. Was that expected?
Yes. Well, I don't know if it was expected to be 13-0, but they were supposed to be good. They were right there with Edmonton at the end of the season last year in the Central Division, and you know what, they were built for this year. Ben King's back from the AHL.
Stud.
And yeah. So what I think when I did the prep for that game a couple weeks ago, I think he was playing in game 208, and he had 210 points career in the Western League. So point per game pace. So
What's the buzz? Are the Pats going to trade Connor Bedard or what? I'm not allowed to talk about it.
I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it either.
Why is it such a thing?
I don't know, but I don't know the Pats. But as an advocate for Team Chaos in the world, let's see what happens if you do. You could build a team for 5 years if you did that, could you not?
You're preaching to the choir. I've been saying
all about chaos. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. Now, who do I think has the assets, the picks to do it? That's when it starts to trickle down. Does Kamloops need to do that?
Don't worry. Seattle's loaded enough. They want them. Get it done.
I think they're your Western Conference champs right now is Seattle.
Couple things. Tune into the show Friday to find out how to win tickets to Tom Cochrane at the Grey Eagle Event Center here in Calgary. Tickets still available at Ticketmaster.ca or the box office. Show up and buy them in person. Your family regulars here at Grey Eagle Events. I've seen you. Or your gal, for sure.
She did.
She came to the cross-dressing show.
The drag show or whatever it was called. Yeah.
Yeah.
She said, is that your friend Rod? I was like, yes, that's Rod Pedersen. Yeah.
He's at the drag show.
It was awesome.
It was fantastic. Ballers Rec Room and Twisted Tea is hosting the biggest party during Grey Cup week, featuring players and the Grey Cup. Get your tickets today at eventbrite.com. And breaking news, Ballers proud to announce that Charleston Hughes and Greg Zahn will be at the party. Again, we'll be there. We'll see you. Get your tickets at eventbrite.com. A word on the Flames. You've noticed now that you're working in the Western League, and maybe it was no different than in the AJ. You don't get to watch as much NHL hockey as you like because you're working or traveling, but the Flames trying to snap a 2-game slide tonight against the Preds. What's the outlook?
I think they're back on track. I think they'll find a way to get it done this way. You had a rude awakening that it's not going to be easy when you lose to Seattle 5-4, and you should have won that game. But they've been at home too much. They need to get out on the road. Their schedule has been very home heavy so far. Great that you're home every night, but I think you need to get away a little bit and just kind of set in, get your bonding. Huberto, Uyghur, Kadri. I know they're all close already, but get away from here. And it's snowing. Get away from here.
Yeah, it's a monster, what is that, 8-game homestand to open the season?
I'll say 8 of their first 10 are at home. And they haven't left the province of Alberta yet because they played Edmonton.
Personally, I've loved it, but that's just me.
That's fair.
CFL Division weekend. I know that you're not the biggest CFL guy, but you like Bo.
I loved Bo.
Last minute of play.
We have our stories.
Yes, you do.
And I get a whole claim to fame if that's like my legacy with Bo Levi Mitchell.
For our listeners, Gino passed gas in the studio just before Bo came in.
In his chair.
In his chair on the radio station. And did Bo look at you and say, did you fart?
He was not happy. He was not happy.
How about that?
I mean, he was fine at the beginning, but at the end when he knew he was leaving, he gave me like the head shake, right? I was like,
don't pass gas in a radio studio, dude.
No
the air's fairly dead. So
luckily I don't work at our station all the time now.
Not anymore. Gino, thanks for the gifts, man. You are the best, and you're continuing. It's Okotoks, but happy that you're happy.
Well, I think we might see you Friday.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, bud.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Tomorrow, Tom Cochrane live here. Former Stampeder John Bender as we look ahead to NFL weekend and CFL. Thanks to Doug Dirks, Tony Spoletini, Gino, Grimmer, and Lee. See you tomorrow.
Who has more fun than us?
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.